Okay, I want you to notice the real title of this presentation, right there. You know more about your subject than anyone in the room. You know more about it than your chair. You'll know more about it than anybody on your committee. And that's what you really have to keep. I mean, not to puff yourself up. I want you to practice, but it's yours. It's really yours. This is your chance to really shine and to share the information with your committee, and we'll talk about if there might be some other people in the room. So you do more, just keep that in the back of the mind. You do know more than anybody in the room. Okay, I've coached a lot of people through this because I've chaired committees before, but I did go because I wanted to find some source where they gave information. I wouldn't recommend this whole book, not at your point. I think that other book that Dr. Kucharski has told us is better. But this one they broke it into how you prepare for the defense, how you defend, and then follow up, because it doesn't end that day of the defense. There's always more. And you'll notice that this was from ProQuest, who is who you send the final dissertation to. Okay, so how are you going to prepare? It may be too late for Rochelle and Myra to do this, but Sergio, if you can attend other people's defenses, just to see, but I would still recommend, like College of Ed CNI defenses. I wouldn't, I'm sure if we went over to the science building, their defenses would be totally different. But it does help, and so I'm going to encourage I'll warn you now for Rochelle and Myra, if I can get some of the other students to come to yours, people can come watch them. And it's just like anything, the more, you won't worry about it as much if you actually see how one is done. So if you can go to one, that's great. And number two, it's very important to adhere to the graduate school rules and deadlines covering the scheduling of a defense. Let's see. So to get to that, I need to go to this link. So what's really good about graduate studies is that, will it take me there? Good. They are really good about putting all the dates. So everything is 8 weeks before graduation. So if you're going to graduate in August, the defense has to be done 8 weeks before. So I just had somebody defend by the end of March for May graduation, okay? But for you two, we're looking at August graduation. Yeah, would you fix it for me?
Okay.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, let's get this bigger. Oh, good. There we go. That's what I wanted. So we're looking at summer graduation. So the people that were graduating in May, and Sergio, so you'll start looking ahead. The people that graduating in May, they had to defend by the end of March. So really the mid of the semester. So, but Myra and Rochelle, if y'all can defend by, you have until the 25th of June. But if you want to go ahead and do it, you can go on and defend before the summer semester starts. And then you only have to sign up for 1 hour dissertation, because you have to be enrolled in dissertation in progress when you're going to graduate. So, but say I have had a person who had summer graduation. So her last day to defend was 6 weeks prior to graduation, okay? But she had to have everything ready to the committee 2 weeks before. So, so a lot of people think, oh, okay, I'm going to graduate in December, so I have the whole fall to, and you don't. Y'all realize that. Y'all have already realized that. So
we tried to be high achievers, but no, it doesn't
yeah,
work
it doesn't work. How do I get it to go down? So see, fall graduation, last day to defend is November 1st. So they really only have September and October. So you need to always, people need to always put that into mind when they're, so that's fall. And so just whenever you get closer, Sergio, think about that. It's something we don't usually think about too much. Okay, so graduate studies has all of that. Okay, so y'all have done that, I'm sure. You've looked at those deadlines. Begin very early to schedule and coordinate the date, the time, and the place. It is stay in touch with your committee, especially summertime, because you need to make sure that they are around and that they can come to it. Donna will, once you get everybody in agreement of when you're going to have it, Donna will get a room, schedule a room, and there is this form. Okay, so this is right there it's saying this is for nursing, but we're going to choose. This is a form that your dissertation chair puts together. So Rochelle, we've got your date. Everybody's agreed to it. Your chair will fill this out, and they are saying that by their signature, they have electronically checked your dissertation project for plagiarism, and it's ready to be defended. So you're in Blackboard. I do it from Blackboard. You're in Blackboard, and they just run it through. They don't run through your references. So they'll take your dissertation, and they'll probably just do the 5 chapters. Because if you stick in references, everything in your references is, verbatim. So, and then it's just a matter of, as long as you're citing things, it's just a matter of looking at it. And I mean, there's always going to be something. But we, as your chair, do have to run it through something, run it through some sort of plagiarism thing. Then you'll see Donna will find the location, but that's when you've got everybody's agreed to the date, the time, and the location, and everybody signs it. Your dissertation chair, if you have a co-chair, committee members, and the GFR. So everybody's agreed to it, and this is 8 weeks before the defense, okay? Is that right? Yeah, it's 8 weeks.
No.
Or 6 weeks. No, it is. It is 8 weeks. It's 8 weeks because prior to graduation.
Okay.
So it's 8 weeks. Yeah. Yeah. So it's got to be submitted, and then they have to have it. So that's 8 weeks. I've got everything scheduled, and I've given my committee members all the copy of it, and they have 2 weeks to read it, and so then that's the date and the time.
So this is 2 weeks before the defense?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. This form is done 2 weeks before the defense because you have to announce it, and okay, where's my cursor? I don't see it. Do y'all see it? Oh, I see it.
At the formatting workshop, they suggested that you submit that on a Monday or a Tuesday, because then that way they can announce it, because they usually post the announcements on Wednesdays. So if you submit it till Thursday, you have to wait all the way till the next Wednesday to get posted.
Okay.
So they're encouraging Form E, they get it Monday
or Tuesday. Okay, I didn't do it. I didn't know that. I know I always shoot for, I know that has to be done 2 weeks before whatever day your defense is on. But yeah, I never knew. Donna sends out a form announcing it to everybody, but I didn't know it's on the Graduate Studies website too.
That's what they said, they put them on Wednesdays.
Okay.
So then that way it gives whoever time to send a link to whomever they want.
Right, right.
So they can see it.
Yeah, College of Ed usually. Okay, so that's why it's 8 weeks. Sounds like a lot, but it's 8 weeks prior to graduation. You do that Form E, and now we know we need to do it on a Monday or a Tuesday. And then the last day to defend is 6 weeks prior to to graduation. And then after you defend, you have 2 days to submit that final version.
2 days?
It's 2 weeks. wouldn't be 2 days, it'd be 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 days. You only have 2 days. You got to be really fast. No, I'm sorry, 2 weeks. So that ends up being 4 weeks prior to graduation is the last day that you submit your final draft. There's a survey that you have to fill out, and there are dissertation fees. So you need to make sure that you're finishing, but there's going to be some monetary things that you need to look at. Okay, so this is just to prepare for it. Now, you've already written it. You've already done the really, really hard part. So this is just something to keep in mind. This is how I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get through the next part. Okay, this is still more on preparation. Have your manuscript reviewed before the defense to be sure that it's consistent with formatting requirements. And you want to present a polished document for the faculty to work with in preparation for the defense. Once again, the defense is 2 weeks before. They offer, I think, a workshop every semester, and they go into great detail of what the pages need to look like. And you want to make sure you follow the template exactly. I don't know whether I should have put these links in here. This one is the dissertation thesis formatting. Okay, good. This one's better. So, and I always suggest, of course, you're going to do the abstract and the table and contents and everything at the end. Don't even get into it till the end. But it does, when you send it out 2 weeks before, your committee members, they want it to look like a dissertation. They want it to have everything. You may not have written your dedication page or your acknowledgement page or anything, but you want your table of contents there so that when they're reading along, if they need to go back and check.
Could you hit on that order of preliminary pages?
Sure.
We don't do the manuscript, right?
No, we do the regular dissertation template. This one, this one's probably better to look at. This one shows if you have 4 members or 5 members on your committee. Now, in the old days, I liked it because they actually signed it while you were there. Now they don't sign it. Okay, is it gonna come up? So this is the template with your title, your name in all caps, and oh, I'm sorry, this is just the page. I take that back. This is just the page of who's on your committee, and then the month and the year of your graduation.
Where it says templates?
Okay. Okay,
Oh, there you go.
full,
Not
traditional,
manuscript,
Traditional.
that one?
Yeah, because
No,
manuscript,
no,
no,
full
where it says full
dissertation.
down there at the bottom.
Oh, that was dissertation. Okay, so we want traditional. Okay, I hope this is the one I wanted
Yes,
to
it's
show
the
you.
one that's got
Okay, because
30
it's got,
Yeah.
okay. So that's your title page, and there's no number on it. And then this is your copyright page, legal name. This is the signature, well, we used to call it a signature page, which was sort of fun when everybody signed it. You may not have a co-chair, and that's fine, so you just name them a co-chair. Find out if they are a PhD or an EDD.
How many, so you have a chair, how many committee chairs do you need?
Just one. And
One committee chair?
you just have one chair. You don't have to have a co-chair.
Okay.
You have to have a graduate faculty representative,
Okay.
a GFR. So Sergio, and I've sort of been talking to some of the people that are in the capstone this semester. Didn't seem to be a problem your semester, but this semester, some of them are like already asking people to be their chair and asking people to be on their committee. It's all right to talk about it, but until you really pass your capstone, you're not really a doctoral candidate.
Okay.
And so you don't formally ask someone to be your chair. The chair does not have to be your advisor. It should be someone that you want to be your chair. That's really the only thing that we let y'all do. on your own. If you think about it, we let you, it's your job. You get to choose your chair. Once you choose your chair, they will help you choose your methodologist depending upon what your study is about. They'll probably help you decide if maybe you do need a co-chair. Usually the two committee members that you have, one's your methodologist and one is really a content, should be a content person. And then graduate, okay, so I've asked someone to be my chair. I've got two members. I've got a methodologist and I have, if there is somebody, a content person. In your case, Sergio, the content person could be somebody outside our college. You could ask somebody with your chair's permission, you get that person. And then at that point, there's a form that you fill out where you request your GFR.
Okay.
And the graduate studies is the one that appoints this person. So,
what does that person do?
I'll show you a form they had to fill out later. It's someone who's not in our college.
Okay.
It's someone who teaches graduate classes. And they are there for your protection to make sure that the committee is being fair to you.
So it's a pretty independent person then? Okay.
Right. And they're going to certify later. They read it, and some GFRs are more active than others. It depends. But they go to the defense, and you'll see, I'll show you a form that they have to fill out at the defense about how it went. So it's a protection. It's a protection for the student.
Okay.
Is a good way to look at it. Okay, here's your abstract, and this tells you exactly what the paragraphs need to say. Okay, dedication, and you don't have to have this for your defense written up, but it's nice that you can dedicate it to somebody, and then that you can acknowledge people. Then comes your table of contents, and so you can see abstract is on 5. That person must have had a 2-page abstracts. Abstracts are supposed to be 150 words, or it's APA will tell you how many words. Most abstracts are 2 pages, but it's whatever, by the time you answer those, by the time you do those 4 paragraphs, it's usually 2 pages. It does not have to be 2 pages. But it usually is. So then you can see you've got your dedication, your acknowledgments, and your table of contents. Your table of contents a lot of times is more than just 1 page. If you have trouble with numbering, sections and having lowercase Roman numeral and all of that, find somebody that can. Don't sit there and try to figure it out yourself because it gets real frustrating. Find somebody who's really good at that, because you can spend a lot of time on that. So there's your methodology, your findings, your discussion, and then your appendices are at the end. And then, so you have a page here, your table of contents page will usually be more than 1 page. And then you have a page for your list of figures, if you have figures. And then you have another page for your list of tables. So all of that goes before you even start your chapter 1. Okay? So just when you think you're done and you've written your 5 chapters, then you start finding out that you have all of those front pages to work on. So be ready for that. And ask questions if you're not sure how to do it. Okay, so that's how you format. Ask your chairs what questions and issues might be raised during the defense. Usually, there might be something that your chair is thinking, I bet that there's going to be some questioning about this part. That's okay, there should be, but talk about it and be prepared for it. Then a lot of times you'll be prepared for something and it won't even come up. But it's always better to talk to them and say, is there anything that you think that I need to be prepared for? And organize your material for presentation. Create a flawless presentation of the material you'll be covering on the defense. And practice, practice, practice. I like the template, the College of Ed template PowerPoint, because I think it's clean, clear. It's on the, I know I had people use it for CIRA. I know that, there's lots of different templates when you use PowerPoint, but I just think, and it's got it's got our college on it, and I just think it looks very professional. So that's, I guess I ask my people to do it. It's probably up to your chair whether they're mean like me. But anyway, I like to use it. And practice, practice, practice. Diane did it, and you could tell she had notes in her hand, but she didn't even look at them. She knew it up and down. So we finally were at the meeting, and usually the chair will thank the people that are there, and it's probably your first comments should be to thank your committee. And even if you might be nervous and think you're going to forget it, write yourself a note. Thank you to the committee. Okay, and people are always wondering about this. What should you be discussing in this defense? Remember that your committee they were there for your proposal. They have had 2 weeks to look at your document, and so you need like a general overview, probably more on, you need to go over your research questions again, because sometimes those change from proposal to defense. Not all of your literature review, because it's probably really long, but you need to talk about what, as it relates to your theory. That's probably the most important part of your lit review. Your methods and analysis, and your major findings, which is chapter 4, and then your recommendations for future research. Okay, and so we were talking about the graduate faculty rep and their report. And so I always tell people, they say, okay, how long should I talk, Dr. Bruun? How long should I do this? This is the form that the GFR has to report. And so they don't do it until after the defense is over with. But they do ask them how much time they have invested. And so most of them have read your proposal, they've been to the proposal, they've read the final product, and they're at your defense. And so they've got time invested in the GFR. So they will report that, and then you can see right here, this is their job. They affirm that appropriate and sensible rigor and integrity were exercised. So that's really their job. And then they have to say, okay, this is how long it took them to present their dissertation. You do not want them to check 0 to 30 minutes, okay? You don't really want them to say that you talked over an hour either, because that's way too long. I normally tell people to try to get it to 40 minutes, because you're probably going to get nervous, and it's going to be a little bit, if I tell someone 30 minutes, they might get a little nervous and it'll be less than 30 minutes. So I usually tell people like 40 minutes, and then it's usually sometimes it's about 35. During a defense, they do not stop you. Like, we might have stopped you at your proposal and asked questions, but at your defense, everybody saves their questions till the end. So I would, work on your PowerPoint, start practicing, start timing yourself, and seeing how long it takes. Then how long the length of the dissertation project defense, after you have presented, then everybody will leave but your committee, and then you get to sit down. You don't have to stand up anymore, and then you get to, they'll start asking you questions. As a chair, the way I normally do it is I take turns, and I call on one committee member and say, would you like to ask your questions? I don't have any questions because I've handled any question that I might have. So I sit and take notes of what they're asking you, because it's real hard for you to be taking notes and trying to answer the questions too. So usually your chair will help you by, listening to, because some things are just questions and some things are something that you might have to actually change. Shouldn't be anything major. But so that, once again, I would expect that part not to be less than 30 minutes, but not to be over an hour. It's usually in that middle part, again, 30 minutes to an hour. Then they have to say quality of product and extent of rigor, and then if they have any comments. So that's done after the defense. It's actually even done after if there are any corrections are made or whatever. So I always hand it, it's done electronically, but I always hand it to the GFR so that they're sort of knowing what answers they're going to have to, questions they're going to have to answer, and so that they're taking notes themselves. Okay, so that's just a form that is done. I can just go back to my PowerPoint, can't I? So that's what your GFR is for. And after your presentation, the committee may take turns, that's what I was telling you, asking you questions and discussing amongst themselves points of disagreement. This is what normally happens. They come and they have their questions, and everybody has taken their turns asking you questions. And then what usually happens is the committee starts talking amongst themselves about something, a point or whatever. And so you're sitting there quiet, listening to your committee talk. And a lot of times that's really what happens, that 30 minutes or whatever, they get off and you're thinking, okay, this is my defense or whatever. But that's all right. That's good. That's a good thing. If they are interested and they are making their points among one another, that's great. If they have a question that comes up that you don't know, that's okay. It's probably something you need to go back and address. So just be honest and like I say, you know more about your subject than anybody in the room. So just go with the flow. It'll be great. And these are two questions that I know they're always going to ask you. Identifying any weaknesses. I wish there was a perfect dissertation, but there's not. And all of our dissertations have something that you wish you had done differently, you wish it had turned out in a different way, and you need to be honest and discuss it. A lot of times that's like in your chapter 5, it could be in limitations of the study. So I haven't ever heard of one that was perfect. And then they're always going to want to know what your post-dissertation research plans are. Because I'm sure you're thinking, well, gosh, if I ever got to do this again, what I would do, or, hopefully you're going to get a job at a university and they're going to want to know what your research plans are. So this is just things to think ahead. So, you're so focused on the defense, you need to think that there is an afterlife, and you need to think about some of that. When all questions have been asked and answered, you will be asked to leave the room while the committee deliberates. And at this time, the faculty will be deciding by vote whether to pass you on your defense or dissertation. I forgot to mention, people can come, like other students can come to it, other faculty member can come to it, family members can come to if they want to hear it. They will leave, of course, before you have the sit down with them. And like at Diane's, her husband asked her a question, and I was like, I can't believe. Yeah, so they can ask a question.
Can they?
He asked her a question, and she answered it.
People can come, but they're not allowed to ask anything.
Oh, well, I probably shouldn't have. Probably I should have dismissed. Really? Okay. Well, I probably need to do that because I've never had an audience. I've never had an audience, and then like a husband, ask a question. It was a good question, but anyway. So yes, they're not. That's probably true. Probably they're not supposed to ask questions. They can come and then they leave, and then your committee asks you questions.
How long is usually the deliberation?
It varies. It really depends on the committee. I'll show you the form that Agnes was helping me find is something that we have to fill out. So this is the best part. The reason why it's sort of nice to have family members there is that when you leave, you can sit with them and you don't go far from the room. You're not supposed to disappear or whatever, because after the deliberation of the committee, then this is the best part for the chair, because the chair gets to come out and say, congratulations, Dr. Oliveras, congratulations, Dr. Pena, yes, and Dr. Cortinas. Yes, that's what you want to hear. Tears are okay at that point, or it's just that's okay. It's okay. I think my husband was crying when it got to that part. But anyway, I guess I hadn't prepared him for it, and so I don't think he knew. Like I knew they were gonna, if I was successful, I knew they were gonna congratulate me, but I don't think he knew that. So it's very, very nice. Okay, is there more? Yeah, there is more. Okay, let's see, Agnes, I wanted to show, is there a way to, I'll show it later. There's one more form I wanted to show you, because what's going on in that meeting, Sergio, is that there's a form and there's 2 columns on it, and so we vote. Okay. And the first thing that we're voting on is, did the student pass the defense, the oral part of the defense? And then there's a second column that says, did the person pass the written part? And very rarely are people ready to put pass on that. That would have to be something that was perfect. So as chair, you make notes of, these are the changes that we're going to do, and then I ask the committee, do you want to see it? Do you want to see the changes before you check off pass? Or do you want me as chair to make sure that it's done correctly? At that point, most of the committee members are like, you're the chair. They've got 2 weeks to clean it up, or not clean it up, because it's clean, but there might just be something that they want, that people notice that, you really need to change this part. So that form cannot be done until the 2 weeks, you've given yourself 2 weeks and you've turned everything in. And there's a form you won't, like I say, it's like the GFR form, you won't ever see it. This other form, you won't ever see it. So then the next day, like I say, you have 2 weeks to work on revisions that the committee has asked you to work on. You send it to ProQuest when it's fine, when your chair tells you you've made all the changes, everything's fine. You send it to ProQuest, and you buy bound copies for the department and the library. I know a long time ago, a lot of people bought their committee members hard copies, but nowadays that things are electronic, you don't have to have that added expense. You're going to want a copy of it. You're going to want I know y'all have looked at people's. Yeah, mine was really thick. Yeah. And then you get to order or rent your regalia. They have hooding is the night before, and then graduation is the next day. Okay, there's one thing I know I forgot to tell you about. When you send your dissertation to the committee 2 weeks before, everybody will get an electronic copy, because I know, like Dr. Platt, there's a lot of the faculty that they're real good at looking at it. Okay, I admit I am not. So it's always good to ask the committee, would you like a hard copy? If they say yes, print them a hard copy, put it in a binder, make it look nice, and hand deliver it to them. But it has to be hand delivered 2 weeks before, so they have 2 weeks to look at it.
But if you do send it through email, do they want a PDF or Word document?
I would send it Word document so that they can edit.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely. That's a good question. I would not send PDF.
Okay.
I would send Word document. and I know like Dr. Pletcher, of course she's your chair, so she's probably not, at that point she's going to have looked at everything. Dr. K is very wonderful for chapter 3 and 4. His is perfect, yes. Huh?
Like my have a mistake.
Oh. But and take your time with chapter 5. And Dr. K will say that about chapter 5 is, and I get it. You're like, you've done 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 5 is your chance to really write what you want to say.